Okay, so today we're going to dive into a truly chilling legend. It comes from a small village in Maharashtra called Tumbbad. And let me tell you, it's a story all about unimaginable wealth and the absolutely terrifying price you have to pay for it.
Right off the bat, you need to know this isn't just any village. There's a darkness hanging over this place. It's a curse that everyone whispers about. The story goes that the gods themselves have basically abandoned Tumbbad, just left it to rot.
And this curse? It's not just some abstract idea. You can actually see it. Just picture a place where the sun almost never breaks through the clouds, where the sky is just constantly, endlessly weeping. That non-stop heavy rain is the first big clue that something is just deeply, deeply wrong in Tumbbad.
So that brings up the big question, right? Why? I mean, what could one tiny village possibly do to get on the bad side of all the gods? To really get why it's always raining, why there's this darkness, we have to go way back to the beginning. Back to a story about a very greedy god.
You see, the entire curse that plagues Tumbbad can be traced back to one single forgotten god. A god whose name was supposed to be completely erased from memory. His name was Hastar.
And you have to understand, Hastar's family tree is a huge deal. He wasn't some nobody deity. He was the firstborn son of the goddess of plenty, the source of all wealth and food in the universe. So just try to imagine that, being born into literal, infinite abundance.
But here's the thing about Hastar. It was never enough. His greed was just bottomless. First, he went and stole every last piece of his mother's gold. But even that wasn't enough. Next, he wanted all of her crops too. Well, that was the last straw for his thousands and thousands of siblings. The other gods attacked him, and they literally tore him to shreds. But right at the last second, just before he completely turned to dust, his mother stepped in and saved him from being totally destroyed.
So, the goddess of plenty saves her favorite son. But there's a catch, a huge one. He can only exist in her womb, never to actually be born. And the most important rule of all, no one, and I mean no one, is ever allowed to worship him. His very name was meant to be forgotten forever.
But you know how these things go. Some stories, some names, they just refuse to be forgotten. And this is where the villagers of Tumbbad come in and make their one fatal mistake, tying their own destiny to this cursed god. Yep, they defied the will of all the other gods. They did the one thing they were absolutely forbidden to do. They built a temple, and they started to worship Hastar, the forgotten god of greed. And with that one single act of rebellion, they brought the curse of the never-ending rain down on their own heads.
Of course, Hastar was thrilled. He rewarded their worship by filling the temple with all of his gold. But it was all just a trap. The temple became this legendary place, a source of deadly temptation. People, lured in by stories of endless gold, would walk through those doors, and they would never, ever be seen again.
So for a long, long time, nobody dared to go in. But legends about gold, well, they're hard to ignore forever. And eventually, one man, a priest named Garish, he decided that he was going to be the one to go in and claim that treasure for himself.
The second Girish steps inside, it's like he's left the world of the living behind. It's not just dark, it's this unnatural biting cold that just sinks right into your bones.
And then, the smell hits him. That unmistakable, stomach-churning stench of decay. This place isn't just an old, dusty temple. No, this place is a tomb.
As he lifts his lamp, the full horror of the place starts to come into focus. He actually trips over a skull. And as his eyes adjust, he sees them. The bodies of all the other treasure hunters. Their skeletons just disgustingly tangled up in the tree roots that are growing all over the walls. He's literally walking through a graveyard.
But even with all this terror, his greed just keeps pushing him deeper. And then he hears it, a low, deep growl that is definitely not human. He's not alone in there.
And just like that, a nightmare lunges out of the shadows. This creature, half man, half wolf, attacks him. It's violent and fast, and it drags him across the floor, leaving him bleeding right at the feet of the statue of Hastar himself, the very god he came to steal from. And this right here is where the legend hits its terrifying peak. Because as Girish is lying there, battered and bleeding, he looks up, and for just a second, all that terror is just wiped away by pure, blinding greed. And there it is, The treasure is real. Right there, beneath the idol, are countless pots just overflowing with gold coins. I mean, a literal sea of wealth, more than anyone could ever imagine. And in that moment, the pain, the fear, it all just disappears.
But as he's scrambling to fill his bag, the entire temple starts to shake violently. He looks up and he sees them, an army of ghosts, the angry spirits of everyone who died in this place, and they're charging right at him with flaming torches. He finally gets it. The real price for this gold is your soul. Goresh drops everything, and he just runs for his life. And somehow, by some miracle, he actually makes it out. But he doesn't escape the curse. Oh no. He is about to learn the true, devastating price of his greed. Just think about the man who walked into that temple. He was a respected priest, he had a family. Now look at the man who came out. A raving madman covered in burns and scars, his wife and child abandoned him, the villagers wanted nothing to do with him, and this once proud priest was reduced to a beggar, living on the streets.
And what did he do with the rest of his miserable life? He spent every single day at the gates of that cursed temple, just shouting the same warning over and over again. Don't go inside! He became a living, breathing warning of the horror that waits in there.
Now, the legend says Grish ran out without grabbing a single coin, which means all that gold, it's still there, just waiting in the dark. So it really makes you wonder, right? Knowing the price, knowing what's lurking in the shadows, what would you do?